Hello, Internet.
Hi.
We are Geeks on a Sofa. My name's Sim.
I'm Sophia.
And we are here today to talk to you in a spoilerific kind of way about Iron Man 3. Oh, we liked it. There's a spoiler. Yes. Really. If you've seen my Simsaw episode about my spoiler-free opinion of it, then you'll know in a bit more restrained way that I feel that it's a good blending of the first two movies, taking the positive bits to make it into a strong third act. I've heard a lot of people talking about their issues with what they did with the Mandarin, but we'll get to that in a second. But overall, I thought, apart from one, I think the end of the first act kind of dragged a little bit. But beyond that, the pacing was good, the action was good, the effects were great. Loved it.
I absolutely adored it. I mean, I know you're still possibly like Iron Man 1 best, but for me, it was just like the ultimate. I mean, first of all, it was just bigger. You got a sense because of all the mentions of the Avengers, aside from, the logistics issues, like where the fuck are they? You just get a sense of being more in a comic book universe. It just felt bigger, and as a longtime reader of the comics, I was really appreciative of that they referenced current-ish comic storylines. I mean, Extremis, but at the same time, they did really unexpected stuff. I mean, Extremis was, yes, it was sort of there. Also, okay, you haven't read that bit, but what they did with Pepper at the end was really good and very relevant. And those of you that know what I'm talking about.
Well, it was also good for the actual movie series itself, having the secondary characters come in a bit and kick ass. Obviously, it was still. As we were saying about this, it was the Tony Stark story. It really was more about him than about Iron Man, really, because he was just the man in the suit, right? Really, in this one. But it's equivalent to Dark Knight Rises, because it focused so heavily on Bruce Wayne.
Except you didn't want to kick the shit out of Tony throughout the film. With Dark Knight Rises, it's like, get a grip, you're Batman.
But that's the thing, with Bruce Wayne is the mask for Batman. Whereas Iron Man is the mask for Tony Stark. So we got the more core character with him kicking ass. Whereas with Dark Knight Rises, you just got the character that you didn't want to see being boring.
Well, the thing with Tony Stark, because he is the ultimate capitalist icon, not idol, capitalist idol, a new reality show. Although I think that's the thing with Donald Trump. Anyway, getting back on track, because he is the man in a lot of ways, and more so, if you follow the Civil War and post-Civil War, he's at his best for me, most relatable when he gets stripped down, not in that way, well, but anyway, when he gets stripped down of everything, and it's just like, you get to the heart of the matter, to the will that he has, it's just, he doesn't just have an iron suit, he's made of steel. Well,
yeah, that's essentially his superpower, his supreme ego.
He doesn't give up.
The fact that he has the resources and the intellect to do what he's doing is the fact that he uses those things, and he never lets it go.
It's been a lot of times in the comics where he loses everything and he just dusts himself off and just goes for it again.
But then again, that was also highlighted to be his Achilles heel. His greatest strength is also his greatest weakness with it. When he leaned into the camera phone and told the Mandarin, "Come get me," and they did.
Yeah, maybe should have consulted Pepper. Just I'm saying, she lived there. Oh, and speaking of Tony and Pepper, I would like to just take a moment and all focus on the gigantic rabbit with boobs. Does that mean they're secret furries? Because that's weird. I'm with Maya there.
Kind of suit.
Yeah.
I am furry man.
Oh dear.
I'm not, really. No. Tony might be, but anyway.
Tony might be a lot of things.
Yeah, I also liked Rhodey in this as well. I think he had a chance to actually come out as his own character, which he didn't get as much to do in 2, even though he was, still playing the same character, and he was War Machine. He was legitimately another hero, really, in 3.
On that note, when I saw the Iron Patriot suit in the promo images, And that's another thing I was worried how they're going to do. I mean, obviously they can't go the way they did in comics because there is a conflict of copyright or whatever. But I thought it was really clever. I mean, to get back on the Mandarin thing, because you mentioned a lot of people had issues. The other day I nearly cursed out a bunch of, couple of students who were waiting to buy a kebab and were ranting in French about how, Iron Man is great, but the Mandarin, would have sucked or whatever. And the thing is, a friend of mine hadn't seen it yet. She was like, is this story going to be full of fail and racist caricatures? Because that's what the Mandarin essentially is like every Orientalist, Italian, Fu Manchu out there caricature. So I was like, no, the movie's good. She was like, are you sure? But the Mandarin's like, no, trust me. So she went there and she initially saw the thing where, they were like, oh, instead of the random yellow menace, it's, the jihadi brown people that are coming. And then the twist was just a stroke of genius. When you take basically all those, like our perceptions, the way they work.
It was a pantomime villain, and they basically turned him into a pantomime actor playing a pantomime villain.
Yeah.
The fact that it was so knee-jerk, anti-Middle East kind of, God, the terrorists are coming, help us, we are under attack thing. And he was constructed. He was an artifice for fear and as a distraction. And I'd say that works. I mean, I have seen a lot of people, particularly on Twitter, complaining about the fact that this character was sold. And because he was sold in a slightly less Fu Manchu-y, cartoony way, they could have delivered him as an actual legitimate villain because he felt like a legitimate threat. But
still not Chinese though.
No, I know, and obviously he was speaking with a kind of strange, twisted American twang kind of thing. But again, can forgive that. The fact that he was essentially meant to be Middle Eastern, and also the fact that there was all the references to the 10 rings in Iron Man 1. I don't know if it was in Iron Man 2, but certainly in 1. So obviously they had that terrorist cabal connection thing already there. They could have driven him as a villain, but that said, we would have then been in a Spider-Man 3 situation when we had too many villains. So I think they made the right choice, and I understand why people are upset, but I'm happy they went this way.
They're comics fans. I mean, we're all comics fans. We're all going to be upset about something. Having said that, thumbs up, because I really loved it. I legitimately have no complaints about the movie. Yeah, which never happens.
I loved it. It was a great fun ride. I haven't seen it again, which is generally my rule of thumb for when if something's actually good or if I've just been blown away seeing it in glorious super mega IMAX 3D.
IMAX, yeah, that was my lost my IMAX virginity and it was good.
I want to quickly talk about the suits. I really hated the Mark 42 suit in all
Blink.
All the promo material with that kind of gold vomit down the middle. It looked
It looked like he should be in a hot tub.
Yeah.
With some Barry White playing.
Well, which he almost was when he was laid out on that suit going, hey.
Oh, God, yeah, when he sent the suit to have a date with Pepper. Yeah, he has a suit for everything. I mean...
There's an app for that.
I can see why she was pissed off, though.
Yeah. I liked and again, you were saying about the references, there's the Armour Wars things with having all those different suits. And I like the fact that, he was meant to be, that was his neuroses, he couldn't sleep, so he did what he did best, build suits, and he just built shitloads of them. I liked that sequence where he was hopping in and out of them, but it just got a little bit OTT, I found at times.
Tony Stark, OTT?
Never. The fact that he'd spent so long building all these things and they're meant to be as good as his other suits, and yet they're just getting ripped to shreds.
But he has a suit for everything. I mean, recently on a certain event that we do not mention the name of, he had a Phoenix fighting suit. It's like, seriously. You can imagine any situation and Tony will build a suit for it. It can be as mundane or as, random, as disgusting as you can imagine. There will be a suit. That's what he does.
No,
it's better than drinking. I'm just saying, it's a coping mechanism.
It is good, and was very enjoyable, and I was happier with the design, at least of the Mark 42. The other ones you never really got to see that much of, but I was happier with it in the film I don't know whether they toned it down or not. Than not. Though, again, there was some because, like I said, they did combine elements of the first film and second film. The cheesy opening with back in 2000 or whatever, and having what was his name, the guy from the first film, the professor who helped him in the cave, Yinsen. Having Yinsen there was a kind of, it felt awkward, but I liked that they did that, and having the blue music playing and all that kind of thing just felt a little bit. It treaded a very fine line of cheese. That's what he's taken from the second film, the slapstick comedy with Favreau and all that kind of stuff. Though I was quite happy he was knocked unconscious.
Well, the humor was good, though. There were some lines that were downright Whedon-esque. I mean, when they were fighting the security guards and one of them going like, I really don't even like working for those guys. That was pure Whedon. That was genius.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling now. Overall, really liked it. I thought, that's the thing. I think it's up there with the origin. The first one had the origin story. It had the first big successful Marvel, in the MCU thing. Whereas this is equally as good without the fallback coping mechanism of the origin story. Because origin stories make everything immediately more interesting. You're seeing the hero progress, and you're behind them. You're emotionally invested, and you've got all he has to do is go and punch someone in the face, and you're happy. Whereas this thing had no established tropes really to rely on. It was its own story, and you went through and enjoyed it for itself. So,
well, on that note, in terms of the role it plays in as a wrapping up of the arc of Tony Stark, at least in the Iron Man movies, obviously there's still going to be Avengers too. What I really enjoyed in this film is because basically in the first film he starts out as the ultimate douche, and then the second film he's a bit of a caricature with the cheerleaders and the drunk and this one he actually, he's still flawed as fuck, but he was more relatable. I mean, it didn't feel like all of his misery was entirely of his own doing, and he was rightly traumatized from Avengers, but instead of going all emo and crying in a cave somewhere, Bruce, he just built suits and he dealt with the shitty situation.
But that's the thing, it did break him a bit. It did.
Yeah, but in an interesting way, not in a put on your big boy pants and get over it way.
Exactly. You go through something like that, it's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, exactly.
So I totally like that, and the fact that he kept having moments about it, and he referred to it as that thing in New York. I did
love small detail, the post-credit sequence, because I spent a lot of the movie going but where are the Avengers? And then at the end with Bruce, I'm just my own little headcanon now is that Bruce was somewhere in the basement under the Stark house tinkering on something, and then a couple of days later just walked out and went so where did the rest of the place go? So, I love that. I love that at the end where he's just I'm not that kind of Dr. Tony. Also, a shout out to my fangirls. Science bros!
Go Team Science!
You're not going to get it, boys. Well, Google. Turn safe filter on. Go for the images. Dude.
Here be dragons. Anyway, that's us. That's been us talking about Iron Man 3. What do you guys think? Did you really like it? Did you not like it? How do you felt it compared to the other Iron Man films and the Avengers, for that matter? They all have their own strengths and weaknesses. But let us know in a comment down below. Hit like if you liked it, and not the other thing. And we'll see you next time back on the sofa.
Bye.
Bye.